introduce me, and then I'll bring Brett on, and then I'll bring Bob on.
Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Edgar, and I'd like to welcome you to the FGX Family Webinar with Bob Steed and Brett Smith. And just a couple housekeeping items, just so people have an idea how to work with the GoToMeeting. You'll see a screen here, and in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you're in the upper right-hand corner of the GoToWebinar screen, you're going to see a GoToWebinar control panel. And we're going to click and bring that in a little bit closer here. And if you look at the upper left-hand corner, you'll find an orange block with a white arrow pointing to the left or to the right. And if you take your mouse and click on that, that will open or close the control panel. So if we click on that, you'll see the control panel is closed. Click on it again, you'll find the control panel is open. Also, if you click on the View tab, you'll find you've got a full screen or a window. If you'd like to see this as a full screen, feel free to click on View and then click the full screen, and that will take up the full screen of your computer system. You can also click on Auto Hide the Control Panel, and that way you won't see the control panel in the way during the presentation. And you can always click on View later and click on the orange block and then click on View to be able to bring the control panel back. Also, most of us are going to be using the internet to be able to listen to the presentation. You will not need to use your phone, but if for some reason your microphone and speakers die, you can click Use Telephone, and it will then bring up a phone number, an access code, and an audio PIN number for you to be able to dial in and be able to get to it. And that information is different than what is being shown on the screen. So if you click on the Use Telephone, you'll find the proper phone number, access code, and PIN then to dial back in. Also, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to type in the questions, and they'll come to me, and then during the proper time, we'll ask the questions to each of the presenters as they're directed to there. At any time during the presentation, if one of our presenters asks a question, say for example, how many people use the 7-day bridge, show your hands, you can click on the little hand that's at the very bottom of your control panel tab that's outlined by the red box, and click on that, and that will show yes, that you've got your hand up. Then we can put the hands down and in time for another question if that's asked. So that's where the hand is clicked up or down. Additionally, the questions and answers will be addressed at the end of the session, and within the next 24 hours after the session, everybody will get an email with a link where they can get a copy of today's session. And also there is a survey that we're asking people to complete at the end, and the survey question is essentially, how did you like the session, and did you like the format, and if so, what other topics would you like to hear? So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kent Elmore, and Kent is our moderator for this evening. Kent, you have the con.
I appreciate that, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. You are always so thorough when it comes to giving instructions. It comes very naturally. Listen, guys, we are very, very excited and honestly very privileged tonight to be able to share with y'all in a very relaxed setting in your own home or in your car riding home from work some very impressive testimonies as it relates to our nutritional ketosis product, Ketopia. We do a lot of these presentations across the country and frankly across the world that are very balanced between the product lineup and what they are and how they work and the business opportunity that accompanies that. Most recently, we had, frankly, they're still going on, Bridge Bash meetings across North America, and we had the privilege of having here in Savannah, Georgia, a fellow by the name of Bob Steed and his counterpart, Randy Crane. Both of those guys are super individuals. Bob is literally a legend within the direct selling and network marketing industry, and Randy has got a huge corporate background and does a phenomenal job managing North America for Forevergreen, and they shared their testimonies. And since that meeting on May 16th, I have heard time and again how much those testimonies touched people's lives within that, because when you hear Bob's testimony, you're going to understand this is not just about going from fat to skinny. There's much, 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 much more to it than that. And while Bob was here in Savannah, we had some local folks share their testimonies as well. And one of those individuals who touched a lot of hearts is Brett Smith, and that's who we're going to have on first. Brett, and all we're going to do tonight is talk about product testimonies. Brett and Bob are going to give their testimonies. We're not going to get into the business presentation. That's for a later date. Tonight is strictly so people can hear what we heard on the Bridge Bash for those that couldn't be there. This first gentleman that's going to speak, Brett Smith, is a fine young man. I did not know Brett until a few months ago when one of our mutual good friends by the name of Brian Gay introduced us. Brett is a wonderful dude, wonderful brother, got a beautiful wife and a beautiful little daughter, and just kind of getting started in life. And he's got a testimony that is rather unique, and I'm excited for y'all to hear it. Brett, are you with us?
Yeah, Ken, I'm here, buddy.
Awesome, man. Well, take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, I spoke with Ken earlier today, and I was just asking him, if he thought it'd be better if I, jotted down my testimony. I was be able to go more in depth with it. So I jotted a lot down, and I want to share it with you guys. Let me start out by saying thank you for giving me the time to tell you about my amazing journey with Ketopia and the ketogenic lifestyle. My name is Brett Smith. I'm 29 years old, and I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I want to start off by showing my appreciation for Brian Gay and Ken Elmore and the rest of the FGX family for getting my life headed down the right track and changing my life for the better. Without you, none of my achievements in weight loss and better overall health would be where it is today. Let me tell you a little bit of how my journey began. 6 years ago, I was working as a contractor for Georgia Power, plain out working my butt off, day in and day out. I was skinny. I weighed 175 pounds at that time. But I was younger and not worried about my health and weight. Well, around that time, I met my wife and transferred jobs, which was a little more laid back than what I was doing as a contractor. I got married 18 months later to my beautiful wife, Stacy, and was loving my new job. Everything around me was going great except my weight and health, and I didn't even realize it. Not 2 years after I got married and the new job, I began putting on the pounds. I got up to a whopping 241 pounds at one time. If you do the math, I put on 66 pounds in a 2-year time frame. I was spiraling out of control. People didn't even recognize me. And on top of that, I began feeling tired and having bad headaches all the time. So I took a visit to the doctor. And as soon as they took my blood pressure and the look the nurse gave me, I knew I was in bad shape. It was 190/98. The doctor prescribed me medicine and put me on a low-fat diet with exercise, and made me make a trip to the cardiologist, a freaking cardiologist at the age of 25. Once my lab results got back, I got hit again with bad news. My cholesterol was terrible on all levels. I became very stressed, and I knew I had to do something. So I took the doctor's advice. I started running with my dad and eating a low-fat diet. After 6 months of hard work, I lost only 11 pounds, and my blood pressure didn't drop the way I thought it would with the medicine and exercise. Lab results came back again, and cholesterol was still terrible. I lost control and was giving up. Until the day my buddy Brian Gay contacted me and told me about this new product by a company called FGX. I met with him and he explained the Ketopia program and the ketogenic lifestyle to me. I was amazed by what he told me he was eating to lose the amount of weight he did. I thought to myself, there's no way this guy is eating bacon, eggs, cheese, steaks, mayonnaise, and ranch dressing and dropping the pounds and keeping it off. And on top of that, keeping his overall health perfect. I was stunned and excited to start my journey, so I purchased a 10-day reset in November of 2015, stuck to the program, and lost 15 pounds in 10 days. I was full of energy and feeling much better. But unfortunately, like most diets, I pulled myself back to the carb and sugar trends and put 10 pounds back on by January, and on top of that, I was back to feeling bad and tired all the time. Well, New Year's came, and I thought back to when I was experiencing ketosis and how much better I felt, and told myself it's time for a change in lifestyle to better myself and be around for my family. I ordered another 10-day reset. At that time, I was 234 pounds. Once again, the product worked, and I lost 14 pounds in 10 days. I stuck to the diet, and sadly, I didn't even exercise. And by April, I was down to 201 pounds. I went to the doctor. My blood pressure was 116/72 for the first time in many years. My blood pressure was perfect, but I was extremely nervous for my lipid results. There's no way my cholesterol has gone down from eating all this fat. Boy, was I wrong. The doctor was smiling from ear to ear. He looked at me and said, "It's perfect. Everything is perfect." On top of that, he said, "Cut your blood pressure medicine back to half a pill, and you no longer have to worry about being put on cholesterol medicine." He was amazed. But before I left, he said, "The running and low-fat diet is paying off." I looked at him and said, "Nope, not doing any of that. I'm not even exercising, and the heck with low-fat. I'm eating as much high-fat foods as I can." He looked at me dumbfounded and said, "There's no way." I said, "Research the keto diet and look up a product called Ketopia," and that's how I did it. Well, for the next month and a half, I stuck to the diet, but I began to plateau on the weight loss. Nothing more was coming off. I knew I needed to incorporate some exercise, but didn't have the time, and that's when the 7-day bridge arrived. I bought the 7-day at the big meeting the company had in Southbridge. I started at 201 and was down to 192 in 7 days. I lost another 9 pounds. Wasn't even exercising. I was amazed at how easy the new 7-day was to do, and on top of that, the keto cream is the most amazing tasting delight I've ever had. I mix it in almond milk all the time. My coffee, it's great. I just had my last doctor's appointment last week, and I'm officially off my blood pressure medicine and healthy as an ox. I made my testimony. I hope my testimonial will encourage you to experience and triumph like I have. I am forever grateful to FGX and their products. I honestly believe they have saved my life. Thanks, guys, for listening. By the way, my total weight loss from January to today as we speak is 44 pounds, and I'm planning to get back to 175 by the end of this year. And I know with the new Ketopia products coming out, I will reach that goal with ease. Guys, I have learned firsthand that this is not a diet, but a lifestyle. Take the journey like I did. It's an amazing, amazing thing. It's dumbfounded me just at how well it worked. I'm so grateful for everything that it's done for me, and it's coming from my heart. It has really changed my life. I'm going to be around for my little girl, and that's the most important thing in the world to me. Ken, I'm going to turn it back over to you, please.
Well, Brett, listen, thank you very much, buddy. Thank you for taking the time, and absolutely, you and your story are why we do what we do, Brett. Bottom line, as our buddy Robbie White likes to say, it's about changing lives, dude. And let me tell you something. Yeah, those of us that are building a business, yes, we like to make money, but there's no amount of money that replaces your health. And buddy, we are happy to have you on the team, and we are absolutely thrilled with your success. And thank you for getting out of your comfort zone for just a little bit and sharing that with the world tonight. Thank you very much, Brett. And hang around, because I'm sure somebody's going to have a question for you here in a little while.
Of course, buddy.
Now, yeah, thank you, buddy. Next up is literally a legend within the direct selling industry. I'm sure he'll poo-poo that, but it is absolute truth. Bob Steed and his family have been in this industry for the better part of 3 to 4 decades now, and been very, very, very successful. So much so, just a few years ago, Bob himself was retired. I think the comment that I heard one time that he bought 2 mountains and went to riding horses. And when Ron Williams, our CEO at Forevergreen, called him up and said, "Look, I got something special here. I want you to be a part of it." I don't think, and Bob can elaborate on this, I don't think Bob thought in his mind that Forevergreen was going to save his life when he said yes to Ron. But I promise you, after you hear this story right here, you're going to understand that while he said yes to a career, to a job, to coming and helping an old buddy get a company off of the ground, what he did was he followed a path that God brought him to save his life. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear this story. Bob, if you're out there, buddy, go ahead and let her rip.
Kent, I'm here, and thank you for that kind introduction. I have so much appreciated you personally and professionally, and the great team that you have out there. And the only mean thing you've done to me is make me go after Brett, because that's a pretty incredible testimonial, pretty tough to beat. Yep. We're just very, very, very blessed because I'm in a position where I can travel around the country and in parts of the world, and I can hear stories just like this. And I'll tell you, as incredible as Brett's story is, and I would never throw water on it in any way, shape, or form, but I'm telling you, it is become the norm. These are the types of stories that I'm hearing in every meeting that we do. And I guess I've just stopped being shocked and overwhelmed, really, by the transformation that's occurring because of this product. One, because I've had such an incredible experience myself, but two, we're just hearing this on a regular basis. And so, I don't mean to diminish at all what Brett has experienced, because it is miraculous and it is amazing. But I am really in a blessed situation because I get to see what happens when people put their bodies into ketosis, and it is absolutely extraordinary. And I was fascinated when I first started studying ketosis, and I found out that the Navy SEALs, they work very hard to put themselves into ketosis. Astronauts work very hard through NASA to get into a state of ketosis. The world's greatest athletes and Olympic athletes, they work very, very hard to put themselves into ketosis, and the reason is very simple. It is the premier state. It is the optimal state of health and well-being. And it's all just words until you really get in and start to understand the technology, the science, and all of it that kind of comes along with ketosis. But the more I read, the more excited I became. And I just read a lot of literature, and one of the things that I would encourage everyone to do, and it's so easy to do nowadays, is just Google ketosis and weight loss. Google ketosis and heart disease. Google ketosis and diabetes. And Google ketosis and cancer. And you're going to be blown away with the information that comes. It's just been amazing in the last weeks to see some of the most renowned and famous doctors of our time that are jumping on the bandwagon and beginning to understand the power of ketosis. There was big articles that came out by Dr. Mercola just last week related to ketosis and cancer and some of these other related issues. Dr. Oz, I think, was on just a couple of months ago. People that we all know, people that are respected in many circles, and certainly that have a very big voice, are really jumping into this. And my personal experience is very, very similar to Brett's. I've had 2 open heart surgeries in my life. I had one when I was young. I had another on November 20th of 2013, so that was not too long ago. I was diagnosed at age 21 with a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is an enlarged heart. And probably some of us know people who've had an enlarged heart. It's not entirely uncommon. Certainly we've heard of a lot of famous people who have died as a result of an enlarged heart. People like the legendary runner Prefontaine passed away from an enlarged heart. Len Bias, drafted #1 overall for the Boston Celtics, died right on the basketball court. And so it's not entirely uncommon, but this is what I was diagnosed with. And the first thing the doctor tells you is you're not allowed to get your heart rate over 120. And they put you on a bunch of beta blockers, and your life literally changes in that moment. And you know that you can't continue to get that heart increasing in size, or it simply can't saturate with blood, and you have a massive heart attack, and you're done. And so this was the news that I received at age 21, and I was just really sad. And I knew that my life had really changed at that point. And so I got on the drugs. I moved to Hong Kong with my family. I was so excited about the Forevergreen opportunity and the products and all the great things that were going on, and I was excited to kind of share that into the Asian cultures. And I was into that project about 6 months, and I just really started feeling in very, very poor health. And I could see that I was having a hard time breathing. I was having a hard time catching my breath. I was starting to get dizzy. Just walking from the bus station to my office, I was just exhausted. And then I started to have a pain that started in my jaw, spiraled down my neck and down my arm. And at that point, I knew that I was in pretty serious trouble. And so I flew back to meet my cardiologist in December of that year, and they ran all kinds of tests. And I had the stress test, and I had the MRIs, and I had the the blood tests and everything else. And when he was done, Dr. Bingham here locally, he said, "You're in bad shape," and he immediately began to put me on medications for cholesterol, for triglycerides, for blood pressure, and of course I was already on a series of beta blockers for my enlarged heart. And when I left and went back to Hong Kong, I had really started to do a lot of research in relation to ketosis. And the founder of Forevergreen had really been focused on ketosis, really understood the power of this state of being, and had been kind of locked arms with a very unique organization that was promoting the ingredients for ketosis. And so I really embraced it, and the more I read, the more I really began to really appreciate what ketosis was all about. But all of my study was related to heart disease. It had nothing to do with weight loss, had nothing to do with anything else really, and it certainly didn't have anything to do with an enlarged heart. I was just trying to get rid of the pain in my jaw and just feel better. And so I sourced the ingredients that would eventually become Ketopia. The oils, the minerals, the salts, these are incredible ingredients, and I began to take them, and I can tell you that they don't taste very good when you take them just raw, but I began to do that, and I began to live a lifestyle, a ketogenic lifestyle in terms of the things that I was eating. And I can tell you that immediately I began to have a result. Within about 3 days, the pain in my jaw, my neck, and my arm disappeared. And I also noticed that I was losing weight. And I was tipping the scales at that time at about 220. And I did have weight to lose, and that wasn't my primary goal, but I was grateful for that. But I got deep, deep into ketosis, and I was there for about 6 months when I flew back from Hong Kong, and I met with my cardiologist. And it was a very interesting experience to walk into his office and see the look on his face. I had lost about 45 pounds by then. I'd gone from 220 to 175. And I walked in, and he said to me, "You look really, really good." And I said, "Thank you." I said, "I feel really, really good." And he said, "Well," he says, "I've got your tests back, and I want to go over them with you." And I said, "Okay." And I sat down, and he said, "I've got your blood work." He says, "Your triglycerides are way down." And I said, "That's great," And he says, "What have you been doing?" And I said, "Well, I've been eating a lot of fat," which was kind of a tongue-in-cheek answer, but he was obviously very surprised by that. And he said, "Your cholesterol is way down." And I said, "Yeah, I've been eating a lot of meat." And again, he looked at me kind of funny, and he says, "Well, your blood pressure is way down as well. It's really in a safe range, and you're really in good shape." And I said, "Well, thank you." I said, "I've put myself into ketosis. I've been taking these products, and I'm in ketosis, and it truly has transformed my life in a major way. I feel better." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, that is fantastic." He said, "But here's something I can't explain." And I said, "Yes, what is that, Doc?" And boy, you just never know. When a cardiologist says something like that to you, you never know how big a trouble you're in. But he says, "Look, we got your MRI back." and they've been closely monitoring, of course, the enlarged heart and trying to keep it from getting any larger. But he looked at me and he said, this latest MRI shows no indication of an enlarged heart. And it was almost surreal, actually, in that moment to hear my cardiologist tell me that my heart had gone back to its original size, the size that it was at age 21. And he said, listen, I've never seen that before. This is highly unusual. And he just looked at me very simply and he said, do you believe in God? And I said, of course I do. He said, do you believe in miracles? And I said, of course I do. And he said, you've had a miracle. And truly I have had a miracle. And you know, and I do give God the credit, and I think God gives us a lot of great information, and I know that He blesses us. And I just really felt like I had been inspired and blessed to kind of go down this road in terms of ketosis, and I am so grateful for this product, and it's such an amazing experience to get into ketosis and feel all of the benefits that come from it. And so one of the things that I would love for you to do, I challenge everyone to get in and study ketosis and the relative terms that we discussed. You know, I think that the three biggest issues that we deal with in society today are heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. And as you get in and you do the research, you're going to see that, you know, and we all know that the body is spectacular. It's just, it is a miracle. And when we feed it properly, it will heal itself. And that is exactly what we are doing when we pioneer this process of instant ketosis. Now, some of you are aware of the product Ketopia and Ketonics. This is an amazing product. It was a product that I was taking that really helped put me into a state of instant and deep ketosis. I can tell you that instant ketosis are two words that have never been put together, not in the history of mankind. Ketosis was always kind of elusive, very, very hard state to get into. But the real magic behind this product is that with a proper blend of oils and nutrients and minerals, we have found a way to put the body into an instant state of nutritional ketosis, which means you have simply transferred your body from a body that is using carbohydrates to fuel itself to using stored fat to fuel itself. And when you do that, amazing things begin to happen. And when we listen to Dr. Dominic Agostino, who of course is coming to Savannah, Georgia here in the upcoming weeks, it's amazing to listen to the list of different maladies and illnesses, diseases, and different issues that are positively impacted by being in a state of ketosis. And to really come to a full understanding that instead of having to eat meat for maybe 14 to 21 days to get into a state of ketosis, or as the monks do in Tibet, fast for 30 or 40 days, to know that we can take a product that is guaranteed to put our bodies into a state of instant fat-burning nutritional ketosis is amazing. It's never happened before, and really what we're talking about is instant gratification weight loss. And again, those are words that have never been uttered because it's never been possible. So, you know, I'm pleased to be a part of a company and a process that is really leading the worldwide discussion right now, not only in instant ketosis, but deep ketosis. And I have to tell you, Kent, I feel compelled to be on the record, to be traveling around the world, sharing my story, because I don't think there's a more important health message that we could be sharing right now. My goodness, what else is there out there that can really manage and deal with heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and other things the way that nutritional ketosis can manage it? And I'm just very pleased and proud to be a part of the organization, and certainly this product has transformed my life in a very spectacular way. And I've truly been blessed, and I think it is our responsibility at this point to go on the record and to help to inspire others and to help others to achieve some of the results that we've had. Kent, thank you for the opportunity today.
Wow, Bob. Well, thank you for taking time. And it's always a mystery to me what part of the globe you're in. I meant to ask you that. Where are you actually sitting right now?
Well, I just got off an airplane. I was in Hawaii. We just had a Bridge Bash event in Hawaii, and I just got off the airplane about 2 hours ago.
Awesome, man. Well listen, your passion for helping others, and your willingness to leave your family and to come out and help us build our businesses is just remarkable, and we really appreciate your time. The thing that really hits home with me, not only with your testimony, but even with Brett's tonight, and like you said, there's so many others out there, is yes, hearing the pounds. I've lost 40 pounds, you've lost 40 to 50 pounds, Brett's lost that much, other people, that's all exciting stuff. But at the end of the day, when your lipid profile and your blood pressure and the miracle that you experienced, being in nutritional ketosis and getting there with our product instantly, there's so much more to it than just having a lower number on the scale. In my personal case, outside of the weight loss, to me it's the mental focus, the mental clarity. It was like you almost seem like you live in a fog that's created by the sugars and the carbs, and once your brain gets those ketones for the first time in a long time, it's just like a whole new world's opened up out there. But we really appreciate your time tonight, Bob and Brett. Before we actually sign off, I wanted to check back in with our illustrious organizer, Mr. Edgar, to see if anybody has put any questions out there that they wanted answered. And if you're out there listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to type them in, and Bill will relay those to Bob or Brett as the case may be.
Well, I've got one question for Bob, and I apologize. I was working with one of the attendees who was having some audio issues, and fortunately we got that resolved. But Bob, when you were going through your presentation, you were talking about your heart operation. You had mentioned to us in Florida that you had used some power strips. Did you talk about that tonight?
I didn't talk about that, and I should have. I was diagnosed with an aneurysm of the aorta, and they went in and took care of that. But I did tell the doctor at the time that I was working with a good friend and a company that had a drug-free application for pain relief, and I wanted to use it. I assured him that it was listed with the FDA. For pain relief. He was very, very reluctant, but I just said, look, I'm not going to take any drugs. And so they all thought I was a bit crazy, but yeah, I went through that process and went through a full recovery with a day and a half in ICU and 5 days in recovery. Came home and continued to mend, and the only thing I used to regulate that pain was the power strips. So yeah, pretty powerful experience with the power strips as well.
Could you tell people what you did with the power strips to alleviate that pain?
Well, I just put them on either side of the incision. The incision runs from just below, right there at the base of the neck, down to just about your belly button, and I just put the power strips on both sides of the incision and then across my abdomen. And was just really good about trading them out, every 6 to 8 hours.
Okay, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, thank you very much. Brett, we've got a question from one of our attendees, and you've been asked, how long have you been involved with the program?
Well, I started the program in November of 2015, and like I said, when I really got serious about it was in January. I finally woke up, and realized just how great ketosis is. So really, really getting to it from January to where I am right now is just how long I've been in depth, and it's been an amazing journey. And when you lose 44 pounds, it's every day now. It's every day. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm eating lots of bacon, lots of it. It's people don't get it, and it's just like Bob said. go do your research. Just get on the internet and do the research. I can explain it to you all day, but if you just read about it, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at what this product and what ketogenic can do for you. It's life-changing.
Thank you very much. I've got another question for you. Actually, two more questions. One person asked, how easy was it for you to use the Ketopia?
It was the simplest process. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you mix your Ketonics drink with 20 ounces or more of water, shake it up, sip on it. I sipped on mine for a couple hours. It says 60 minutes. And then, with the 10-day, you would eat a cookie dough bite, and then if a keto-friendly snack if you needed it, and then you would do the 6 shake. It was simple, and it was all a mixture with water. It wasn't like you had to go out and buy all this stuff. It was all right there in the kit. The instructions were plain as they could be. You stuck to it, you did it, and it works. And I've been giving kits away. I gave a tandem 7-day away today, and they asked, this just seems complicated. Just read the instructions, and it's so 7-day is the easiest weight loss program out there. I mean, that's all there is to it. Like I said, it's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle change.
That's awesome. Last question we have for you is, what was the most difficult thing you had in working with the program? If there is anything, I guess.
I mean, people are going to have cravings. You're going to crave sugars and carbs. I think that was probably my biggest goal to go over, was to not crave the carbs and sugar. And for the first couple of days, I did crave the carbs and sugar. But by day 3 and day 4, I wasn't even thinking about it. That was my biggest obstacle, was not going to McDonald's and getting the double quarter pounder with the buns and the fries and the milkshakes, and I was a big overeater. That's when I really put my weight on. I got married. You get comfortable. You got, like me, I got a new job that was more laid back. I wasn't doing the exercise like I was with as a contractor, but it's just, you just have to change everything in your life. I mean, you have to put your mind towards it, and that's what I did. I looked at my little girl and my wife, and I said, I need to be here for them. I don't need to have blood pressure where I'm on borderline of having a heart attack and cholesterol that's through the roof. All of that's gone now. It's all gone because of how easy the product was to do. And then just sticking with the ketogenic lifestyle. I mean, who doesn't want to eat steak and butter and chicken and I mean, you can eat all the meat in the world. Who wouldn't want to do? I mean, what kind of diet is that? And you can lose weight and get the health benefits that I've gotten. There's not one out there.
Okay. Another question just came through. And what is a typical lunch for you?
Typical lunch for me nowadays. Well, let's see. Usually, my favorite is chicken wings. I love chicken wings. I love green beans and collard greens. Those are great vegetables with the diet. Bacon and eggs and cheese in the morning, omelet. If I go to Huddle House, I get the fully loaded omelet. Just don't put the hash browns on my plate. It's all. If you know how to steer yourself away, any place, a lot of people say, I don't know what I'm going to get at the restaurant. It's not hard. Like, I go to Longhorns, I'll get the Parmesan crusted chicken full portion with cream spinach. But don't bring the bread to my table unless my beautiful wife wants some, which I'm kind of changing her to the keto lifestyle now. So, there's so, and the best thing about ketogenic is, people, I mean, I can't go without bread or spaghetti or something like that. Get on the internet, do the research. You will find a recipe for whatever you're craving, pizza, anything, spaghetti. I mean, it's all there on the internet for you. People have come up with many recipes for things that you're craving, including sugars and sweets. There's always an alternative. like I said, you've got to make it a lifestyle and not just a diet fad.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate that. Bob, do you have any final words for people tonight?
Well, I really appreciate what Brett is saying. I think that you know, the biggest issue that we have with fad dieting is that, you know, we eat our way out of it fairly quickly, and it's because it's cumbersome or it's not pleasant. And look, you know, we're humans. We're always going to drift kind of to the easiest point, and that's just natural. And so what I have really loved and embraced about ketosis is that you know, it isn't hard. It isn't restrictive. It's not, you know, we're not counting calories. I'm pretty certain that I'm consuming a lot more calories at 175 than I was at 220. But it really is, you know, you're consuming the right types of calories. And so that makes it a lot easier to kind of follow the program. You know, we're not talking about a diet program that's going to mess with your metabolism, restrict your calories, take away your appetite. Those seem to be always kind of the popular approaches to weight loss. What we're saying is, look, all calories are not equal, even though we've been taught that, and fat is your friend, even though we've been taught that it's your worst enemy. And so it is a change in thinking. And if we can adopt this, we can embrace this and kind of evolve into you know, a situation now where we can embrace these things and enjoy an optimal state of health. We need to do that. And look, you know, cancer is at an all-time high rate, diabetes all-time high, heart disease, you know, all of these things are at an all-time high. It is all dietary related. And that's good news for us. You know, if it was genetic, if it was environmental, if they were things that were out of our control, then we just have to throw our hands up and just deal with it. But the good news is it's not. It's completely within our control. And we can make some changes in our life, and we can adopt the lifestyle. It's not going to be hard. Probably the hardest part in this, I tell everybody, you can drink anything in the world in this lifestyle that you want as long as it's water. That could be, yeah, that might be the hardest thing that people have to deal with. You know, is you know, maybe you give up, you know, the wine and you give up, you know, some of these other things. And but listen, I think Brett said it well. You know, you want to be around for your kids, and you want to be around for your grandkids, and you want to be in a healthy state so that you can enjoy these kids, these grandkids, and your lifestyle. I believe that this is the very best possible way that we can assure that that's going to happen for us.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Kent, do you have any final thoughts?
No, just in closing, again, Bob, Brett, thank you so much for devoting time tonight away from your families to share your story with us. Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to set up all this technical stuff. I mean, I'm barely qualified to actually dial the number on the phone and speak into it, much less make sure all this stuff works. And thank you so much for doing that, Bill. And we are so excited for those of you that are on the webinar still listening. And if you are anywhere near Greenville, South Carolina on June 25th or Savannah, Georgia on July 16th, I highly recommend that you get yourself to those events. Ron Williams is going to be in Greenville, our CEO, and then on July 16th here in Savannah. And if you're not a part of the FGX family yet and you're hearing this, you'll get an email and you can respond to that email and we can get you the information. But on July 16th, we're going to have Ron here, but we're also going to have Dr. Dominic D'Agostino. Google him. The layman's term, he is the Albert Einstein of the ketone science. This guy knows it inside and out. He flies around the world telling all the other smart people, doctor folks, about what ketones do for the body. He is the man behind the formula that is in our Ketopia process, and he's going to be right here in Savannah telling us about how to have better health, have a better life, for like Bob and Britt both said, so we can be around for our kids and our grandkids, because that's what it's all about. But thank you all for your time. appreciate it, and we look forward to the next time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kent. I'd like to personally thank both Bob and Brett for coming on board. Really appreciate your time and your information. And for the attendees, we've got a link that will be sent out within the next 24 hours. There's a survey on there just asking how you liked the session tonight. Would you be interested in future sessions, and if so, what would you like to see in a webinar session? Additionally, there will be a link to be able to review this recording at a convenient time. Feel free to pass the link around so other people can listen to it as well too. And thank you so much. We appreciate this.